Yo, what is up? It's the Tominator here, and today I wanted to talk about the San Marino Pro. So this is from a couple of weeks ago, and here we have the top two, Cedric McMillan, who ended up winning the show, and Hadi Chupan. I hope I pronounced that right. But this guy took second. He's been heavily hyped as of late. I've heard Dennis James, I believe Dennis has gone on record as stating that this guy is the future of the 212 division. So I don't know about that. I feel like that's a pretty bold pronouncement to be making at this point. But one thing's for sure, he's a definite threat, no doubt. And for what it's worth, I think that he could even deal some serious damage in the open class. Because let's not forget, he just beat Brandon Curry in this very show. So he's got tremendous potential, and some of the hype, to a large extent is well-deserved. I wish this idiot would get his head out of the way, but as we'll see, it's not too bad and once I get into the poses. But yeah, just looking at this scene right here, it's a classic case of apples and oranges. I cannot help but be reminded of that scene from Pumping Iron where they had Franco Columbu pitted up against Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1975 Mr. Olympia to determine the overall winner, because that's kind of what we're seeing again, this same dynamic here between Cedric and Hadi. I mean, these guys, you cannot have two more different looking bodybuilders on stage being compared. So let's kick it off. Let's jump into this and go through the poses. So it takes them a while to get into the front double bicep because they kept cheating and standing over the line, and the judges were having none of it. So they kept telling him, get back behind the line. This judge was being a real dick about it, but I mean, if they're not listening, yeah, you got to be firm. So in the front double bicep, and I would give this one to Cedric in a heartbeat. I mean, really, is anybody going to make their case for Hadi winning this pose? I don't see how you could. I mean, unless you're only considering conditioning or raw muscle mass, like Cedric's physique just flows so much better. His shape, his proportions, his aesthetics. Come on, guys. Like, conditioning is very important, but not at the expense of all those other things. So I myself have even mentioned that the best conditioned guy tends to win the show. And I said that as recently as my last video. But that came with a caveat. And the caveat is that you can't be getting dwarfed out there, right? And you got to have complete development. And I don't think that he's really got that, and Cedric's towering over him, so I think Cedric definitely deserved to win this one, and we'll see that as we go through more poses. But my problem with Hadi is two things. So number one, the wide blocky waist. I mean, that is his biggest weakness. I think that's what's going to hold him back more than anything else. But number two is the arms. The arms are a little bit subpar compared to the rest of his body. Now, they're still probably really big, right? But relatively speaking, they look a little bit undersized. And he's got pretty bad insertions. He's got short biceps, short triceps. His forearms are damn near non-existent. So in a pose that is as arm focused as the front double bicep, that's going to majorly hurt you. So Cedric all day in this one. I also like Cedric's V-taper more. And that's going to bode the same for this pose as well. I like Cedric's V-taper more, but Hadi looks better in this one. He looks stronger, and this one's definitely closer than the last pose. And in the lat spread, the arms aren't, they don't play as much of a role in this pose, so it's not hurting him as much. And just by the fact that he's pushing his obliques in with his fist like that, it's kind of minimizing the wide waistline and exaggerating his V-taper. So it can only help him in this pose. And he does have really broad shoulders, and so he looks really good through the delts and the chest here. I got to say that. So it's certainly close, and I could definitely see some people giving it to Hadi, like legit, because he's again better conditioned. Look at through the legs in particular. But me personally, I would still go with Cedric on this one, but not by much. It's definitely very close, and the judges seem to think so too because they made him hold it for quite some time. In the side, what is it? Side chest now. So from the side and in the side chest, especially, I think this is where Hadi's at his best. Once again, that conditioning, he's just murking Cedric, especially in the lower body. He's just way better there. So look at all the deep grooves, that nice split between the quads and the hams, the glute ham tie-in that Hadi's bringing, and then look at Cedric. It's like comparing HD to like standard definition almost. Like that's the difference in sharpness there. And even in the upper body, I like Hadi more. I've mentioned before, I don't really like Cedric the way that he hits these side poses that much. I feel like he needs to open up more, like what Hadi's doing, to display better thickness and mass through the upper body. Like, look at Hadi's shoulder. It's just crushing Cedric's. Even his chest, I think, looks better. And I don't think he necessarily has a better chest than Cedric. I think Cedric's got more thickness, more roundness to those pecs, but they don't look as impressive the way that he's hitting this pose. So I would give the side chest to Hadi for sure. I don't know about you, but that's just my preference, where I'm coming from. So I'm not sure what the judges did, but you can let me know in the comments below your thoughts, guys, of course, as always. When they turn around, though, I mean, this is game over right here. Look at that back from Cedric McMillan. I would not hesitate to call this world class now. I mean, this is on another level. I wish he could bring something like this to the Olympia for once and finally live up to his potential, because look at all the fine detail through that back there. I mean, even the lower body, too. He's keeping it tight. The glutes are good. The hamstrings are dialed in. He's not showing, like, he's not holding water back there like what he usually is with those, usually kind of comes in with saggy glutes and shit. And not today, man. So here he looks amazing. So this is a very good and well-defined Cedric McMillan. And once I get into the pose, this is lights out, game over. I'm sorry, Hadi, man. It's not even close, right? It's not even close. Through the lower body, maybe he's competitive. Might even be better than Cedric in the lower body. But upper body, it's no contest, man. Look at the back. Look at the arms. I mean, come on. This is like men versus boys right here. Hadi, he does have really good thickness and mass through the back and the shoulders, but come on, man. Who's going to give him this pose? Like, can you honestly look me in the eye and tell me Hadi's winning that? So it's going to be very hard to win a show when you're getting dominated in the back double bicep pose, because that probably is the most important pose there is. So tough to win a show when you get blown out of the water in that one. In the side tricep, though, once again, I don't really think that Cedric looks all that special. He looks good. He looks decent, but I just feel like he should be looking better, man. Hadi, on the other hand, I think he's pretty much maximizing his potential in this one, just by the way he's hitting it more effectively. And I like that little the way he's extending his rear leg like that, kind of showing off the calf, even though he doesn't have very impressive calves, but it's still just a nice little touch he's adding there. And yeah, I would probably go with him on this one as well. Cedric, I think, he definitely has better triceps. He should be winning that pose. Like, look at the horseshoe right there. But for whatever reason, man, I personally just don't like him that much in this, the way that he hits it. So give it to Hadi. Now, Hadi, though, he's got a bubble gut. Like, you can't deny that, man. When he relaxes between poses, it doesn't look good. And that's what's going to make this very baffling. So that vacuum right there, what the hell, man? How do you manage to pull off a vacuum when you've got a midsection sticking out like you're 3 months pregnant? I don't know. So on the one hand, I'm very impressed, and this is an amazing feat that he's able to suck that all in and hit a legitimate vacuum. On the other hand, I can't help but be disappointed, because he's single-handedly proving right here that the vacuum pose solves nothing. So a lot of people have kind of put forth this idea that, oh, just make the vacuum pose mandatory and all the bubble guts will go away. Well, unfortunately, as we see right here, that's not the case, man. These guys can still walk around with bubble guts and learn to pull off a vacuum, apparently. So, man, I'm kind of pissed off at him for doing that. At the same time, I can't help but be impressed, because it is an impressive thing to witness a vacuum, especially in modern-day bodybuilding on a guy with this level of mass. So, maybe I'd just still give it to him, but when he's not hitting the vacuum, like right here, I feel like he loses the pose. As soon as he lets go of that vacuum, he loses it. When he's hitting the vacuum, yeah, I'd probably give him the pose, because, it kind of inflates his upper body. His lats look more impressive. But when he just hits it regular, now he's got virtually no V-taper. He has no flow in the upper body. Yes, he wins the thigh component of the ab and thigh, hands down, right? His thighs are better than Cedric's. Cedric's have very nice shape. They're pleasing to look at, but they don't have that sharpness, that graininess, and even the level of mass on Hadi's, I think, is greater than Cedric's. So, but overall, like, I prefer Cedric in this pose. So, I don't know. This one's tough to call. You guys tell me, man. You tell me. I would personally go with Cedric just because I really think Hadi doesn't look good in the standard ab and thigh. But Hadi does look really good in this pose he's about to hit right here. The most muscular, this version that he's doing, kind of the Rolly Winkler version, you might say. Not a hands clasp because he's not clasping anything, but it looks amazing, doesn't it? And those arms that I was knocking him for earlier, they don't look so undersized anymore. So his chest looks amazing. He's got crazy level of development through the pecs and shoulders here. The wheels go without saying once again. And yeah, I would probably give him the most muscular if we're talking about this version. He hits the crab in a moment, and I don't think his crab most muscular is as good as what Cedric's showing us here because Cedric looks very balanced here, doesn't he? Like, look at the delts, the roundness through the shoulders, the pecs are just kind of popping out at you with striations and shit. His traps as well look phenomenal, and he's showing very good detail and vascularity, right? Through the delts, the biceps, the traps even. I'd like to see his legs a little sharper, of course, but that's basically all I can knock him on. And so let's see Hadi's version. Hadi's version to me kind of reminds me again of Franco's a little bit, where it's very chest dominant, and he's got that amazing split through the upper and lower pec, but I still prefer Cedric's a little bit more. So that's the show, guys. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's a close one. I do think Cedric deserved it, so I think the judges got it right again. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So thanks for watching, everybody. And until next time, I'm the Tominator, signing off, and I'll be back.